Welcome to the satsang. There's no theme music today because of Sue is up in Cumbria. So I was going to sing you a song, but I actually can't think of a song to sing. So I'm going to just start straight away in with the satsang. First of all, welcome. It's really lovely to have you here. If you've never been before, the way the format works is that I'll just talk for a little while about the theme of the week, and then we'll move into a guided meditation, and after that there'll be time for questions and answers, some of which have been pre-submitted, and you can ask questions yourself by either typing them in the chat box or clicking on the hand raising symbol over on your right somewhere and raising your hand, and then you can do it live with audio. Well, I am broadcasting from Nice in the south of France, where I've been doing a workshop and talks, and mostly they're working on this electronic music project with my friend Jeff Hessing, which is called Jeff and Steph's Electric Window, and it's quite fun. Just sort of in the process of working on this utterly monster track, which if I don't mess it up in the editing and formatting could be quite something. Well, I'm not planning to mess it up, you know how it is. We do satsang, which means sitting together in authenticity without the disguises, the mask, the personality, the need to posture and impress and fit in and all the rest of the stuff we generally do as humans. We have this privilege of doing it through this technology where we don't even have to be in the same room with each other, so we can completely let go of the whole idea of being a body, of being a personality, and just be these wonderful, mysterious, ineffable spirits that we actually are, coming together to celebrate the truth of our being. And when we do this, the Tao, the presence, the background presence that informs us, of which we are all expressions, seems to enjoy itself. It seems to like it when we do actually connect like this. It makes it smile. And when we come together and cause the Tao, whatever you want to call it, to smile on us, it tends to unleash a slew of blessings on all participants. This isn't something that you can force timing-wise. The blessings will come when the blessings come, and life has its own tempo. The flow of events has its own tempo. Can't be rushed, and there's no reason to rush it. Everything comes in its own season. Talking of seasons, Mercury, the planet of communication, has just come out, or is coming out today, of 3 weeks of retrograde motion, during which everything goes completely topsy-turvy in terms of our communications with each other and so on and so forth. And I know from the feedback I've been getting, because I'm privy to hundreds and hundreds of emails and messages every day from people, mostly describing their existential state, their battles, their trials and tribulations. So I'm in a fairly good position to take a reading from all over the world of how people are feeling at any particular moment, and including my own experience. I have to say that this last 3 weeks has been quite a bit of a wingdinger of a Mercury in retrograde. It's been one of the strongest ones I've known for many a year, in fact. Lots of challenges for people, lots of misunderstandings, lots of confusion, and so on and so forth. Well, that will start changing today. Things will start having the sense of moving in a more orderly fashion. Though I have to preface, or not preface, I have to say at this point in time that there have just been 10,000, even more than 10,000 people killed this weekend in the Philippines by a storm that was raging with winds of over 200 miles an hour. The weather is definitely becoming a lot more violent and volatile. And yeah, we're in for a ride here, and I think it's important just to honour and acknowledge those 10,000 or more souls that have just left the planet this weekend because of the winds. I firmly believe in destiny and that everybody has their moment to shuffle off this mortal coil, and I also know that death isn't the horrible thing we tend to assume it is, and that there isn't actually a death when the body drops away. Nothing really happens. What does is, as I understand it, the personality falls away. This false constructed self dissolves, but the background presence that's been watching your life unfold impartially but with great delight from the moment you were conceived doesn't go anywhere. It just is. And I don't know about you, but when you lose somebody, when I lose somebody, but I've lost people who I've really loved and I've been close with, the communication doesn't stop. It definitely tends to continue. And good, genuine mediums are proof of this. So the idea that death is a bad thing is not necessarily so. It's just an opinion. Nonetheless, I think it's an awful shock for everybody left behind. And in any case, for souls who are suddenly whipped off the planet completely unexpectedly, it's probably fairly confusing for them too for a little while. So I'd like to somehow bear those people in mind in a gentle, discreet, loving way as we do what we do, and everybody on the planet, because it's really difficult being a human being. It's not easy for anybody, and it doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter how beautiful the surroundings, how salubrious, how wealthy, how affluent, how privileged. Everybody is suffering. And that's something that's really quite apparent when you come to places like the Côte d'Azur, for example, which is famed for being one of those places that people gravitate to for the good life. I mean, it's the epitome of the good life. And, you know, I meet people on a deep level here, many people who tell me about what's going on with them. And it's just as difficult being in this luxury environment as it is being in a less luxury environment. It really, in a way, probably easier when it isn't so luxurious. What I'm saying is it doesn't really matter your conditions, your external conditions. The fact of being is difficult because it's a huge universe with ineffable power, and we're somehow channeling that. There's a lot of power to channel. I saw a guy this morning who probably had polio as a child, rickets or something, and had one leg way shorter than the other, and was walked on crutches. And he was saying hi to everybody. He was definitely the happiest person that I saw all day. It's funny, isn't it? The actual kind of handicaps that we have to deal with oftentimes make it even more poignantly wonderful being alive. So I'd like to start with a bit of a celebration just for the fact that we're here at all, and how beautiful that we're here together. It's a privilege, and it's a privilege for me, of course, to facilitate it. So we talk about, I give themes to these satsang series. It's just because you've got to talk about something. You don't really have to. It just makes it easier. And really, though, it's the coming together that's the important thing. Nonetheless, we're talking about the Taoist jumping magic, which is brilliant, brilliant technique, because we, all of us, are beset by challenges, and when the challenge seems huge, we need some kind of technique to get over it, and the jumping technique works every single time. So it's good to propound it here today, and I do so for everybody's benefit. We're talking about getting stuck in a relationship that is dysfunctional, either with somebody else or with yourself. Well, that's quite apt, because our human reality is comprised of a complex of relationships, primarily with yourself, and by extension with the presence informing you, so this mysterious Tao, or whatever you want to call it. Secondly, with the environment in which you live, so that, you know, gravity and light and climate, the air, the elements, and so on. And then thirdly, although it's not really in order, with all the people around you, whether it's people that you live with and are close to, whether it's friends, whether it's your professional life, or so on and so forth. And everything is comprised of these relationships. and the external relationship mirrors the internal relationship that we're having with ourselves. So the extent to which your relationship with yourself is a functioning one will be the extent to which the relationships around you will be functioning relationships. But because of the yin and the yang in all manifest phenomena, there will always be the dark side as much as there'll be the light side. So as much as there'll be the part of you that is working well, that is rolling in harmony with the Tao, there'll be the part of you that isn't, and it will be the same in relationships. The best, I guess, we can hope for at any one time is to have a preponderance of the part that's working, the functional part, because it would be daft to try and eliminate the bit that isn't working. That isn't the way. We can't eliminate darkness. All we can do is shine the light. Standing outside the door of Jeff's magical loft, atelier, artist studio place, this emporium of creativity that I now sit in, before, with holding the key in my hand, and the door was locked, as it would be because I was out, and I looked at the key and it was really small compared to the door. And it's just very interesting. If I didn't have that key, I wouldn't be able to get in, and then my life would become a bit inconvenient in that moment. If the weather outside was really cold, which fortunately it's not, and I didn't have the key, I might even die of hypothermia. I mean, I wouldn't, because I think of something else to do. But it was just the sense of the key that unlocks the door into the realm that we're looking for, this realm of enlightenment and ease and delight, is tiny compared to the space we're considering moving into. And it's the same with the techniques that we employ or deploy to gain access to the transcendent state. They're tiny little things, tiny little keys, but they're crucial. If you don't have it, you don't get in. And so that's what we're doing here today. We're accessing these tiny keys, which when used, open the door to a whole new realm. And then we talk about magic. Well, to think of magic as something discrete or separate from everything else is probably misleading ourselves, because really everything is magic. Everyone is magic. Reality is not this fixed concrete phenomenon that we tend to assume it is. Reality is plastic and malleable, because nothing here is actually ultimately real. It's merely relative to camera angle, lighting, mood, and the moment. Reality, as we know it, works like a mirror in that it reflects back at you whatever you believe reality to be. So if you feel stuck in your relationship with yourself or with the people around you or with the world, it's because you believe you're stuck. And reality will mirror that back at you by making things be stuck. But because everything manifest is in motion, nothing can actually really be truly stuck. And for example, I mean, I often think of the Soviet Union, which was this huge totalitarian entity that no one ever could have imagined would disband, but it did. So it's important to know that reality is more malleable, more pliable than we tend to think it is. Because what we're talking about here is each of us taking command of reality rather than reality taking command of us. When we allow reality to take command of us, it's because we've unwittingly assumed the victim position. What we're talking about here is taking command. That's the role of the magician, of the wizard. So that's why I call it magic. But to do so, we have to reposition ourselves internally so that we're one with the flow of the creative power that informs this world all around us. And this is a process of psychospatially maneuvering your presence inside your body into a different place. And we'll do that in a little while. I kind of feel that it's good to set this whole procedure against the backdrop of asking yourself that if this was the last month of your life, are you living it as you'd like to be? Now don't answer the question, just ask it in your head and just watch what your subconscious throws back at you. So we're not talking about the conditions, the external conditions. If this was the last month of your life, you'd go off on some super yacht around the world or do all that kind of stuff. I'm not talking about that external nonsense at all. I'm talking about the way you're relating with yourself, the way you're relating with the world around you. If this was the last month of your life, are you living it as you'd want to be? The second question I suggest asking is, are you here to fully realize the full magnificence of who you are, or are you here to live the dreams of others? Again, don't answer it immediately. Just let the question hang in your subconscious. Are you here to realize yourself, or are you here to live the dreams of others? Now, aside from the obvious need for human warmth, for company, for conversation, relationships, as I said, whether they're personal, professional, social, or whatever, with other people, are mirrors of the relationship you have with yourself. So at the deep level, you draw others into your orbit to mirror what's happening unconsciously within you, so that you can bring it up into your conscious mind, see it, acknowledge it, accept it, and thereby heal it. There's not a lot you really have to do once you've spotted a pattern. You just have to observe it impartially without punishing yourself for it, just simply seeing it. And that act of seeing it differentiates the seer from the syndrome. Otherwise what happens is that you are the syndrome. So just the very act of observing creates differentiation between the observer and the observed. And in creating that differentiation, there is then implicit an option. Once you know there's an option, the syndrome ceases to be compulsive. You're no longer a victim of it, in other words. So for example, if you're with somebody, or you're working with somebody, or you're closely associated with somebody who's bullying you, it's mirroring how you're bullying yourself without realizing it. And that might seem a bit ludicrous. Why would you bully yourself? But it's very insidious, all this stuff. And if you pay careful attention to what's going on inside, there will be a bullying voice, the one that's going, come on, you're not doing well enough, or you're just such an idiot, blah, 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 blah. You know, that nasty voice. So if you're with somebody who's being that way, it's mirroring how you are doing that to yourself. If someone is critical of you and doesn't see how amazing you are, that's something people complain of a lot, that the person they're with just doesn't see them. They don't get how amazing they are, and all they do is criticize them. Well, that's mirroring how you're being self-critical and aren't seeing how amazing you are yourself. Or if someone's really boring to be around, it's because you're boring yourself. They're mirroring that fact that you're actually being boring to yourself because you're not really connecting with the beautiful creativity at your core. Or if someone's abusive, it's because you're abusing yourself. Or say somebody's dependent on you so much that you feel you could never leave them or cut them out of your life because they might die if you did, they might kill themselves or whatever it is. It's mirroring that you're dependent on some outworn aspect of your own self that you don't really want to let go of but somehow need to. So dysfunctional relationships with others mirror a dysfunctional relationship with yourself. And all of this implies a transpersonal stance rather than a personal stance, by which I mean this is all theatre. This whole human arena in which we operate is theatre, and each of us is playing a role in each other's plays and vice versa. But behind each of us, informing each of us, is the background presence, this Tao, this mysterious primordial consciousness which we each embodied as we entered the womb. This, what we can't even give it a name or a description. And it wants to know itself. It wants to reveal itself to itself through each of us and through the play that occurs between us. And none of it is personal. It looks personal, but none of it is. Because, for example, if whoever it is that's playing the role in your life, that's the role that's the most prominent right now, wasn't there, there'd be somebody else who would play it instead, and vice versa. In other words, nobody is indispensable in this game. So the first thing is to acknowledge the role the other person is playing for you and how this is showing you what needs healing within. Then you would be mentally thanking them for it rather than hating them for it. Once you've got the message that they're trying to show you, without even realizing they're trying to show you, you can then give them leave to go. You can set them free from the role. And one of the ways that I found works really well at these times is to bless the person coming from your big presence to their big presence. Bless them 3 times. I bless you, I bless you, I bless you. And then bid them go in peace. Then you visualize them turning around away from you and walking away with dignity and in peace. And if this is done sincerely, that will actually then happen in real time, usually within a couple of days. There might be a bit of an argument or a bit of a heated discussion to make it happen, but nonetheless the movement will occur. And it's actually the form of the relationship between you that shifts, but you could remain together. The relationship dynamic might shift enough to enable you to remain together. There will definitely be the required shift, or it may be, and most likely be, that they'll vanish from your orbit altogether for a while, or even permanently in this lifetime. It's not for us to decide these things. Destiny's already decided what's going to happen. But it's definitely not about getting rid of anyone or escaping from anyone. It's merely about changing the form of the dynamic between you. And then the Tao will take care of what needs to happen. I mean, everyone is Tao, so you can't get rid of the Tao. It's everywhere in everyone. The trick is to see the Tao, the background presence, in the other, and to negotiate or transact with that level of them rather than with the surface personality. But to do that, you have to see it in you. You have to be it in you. So it all comes down to being in a functional relationship with yourself. But that doesn't come from messing about with all the various bits of the personality. That will help. A proficient psychotherapist or self-help training course or whatever will definitely help to somehow rearrange or tidy up all the messy parts of the external aspects of you. But the personality is not really where the healing occurs. It really comes from shifting right back inside, coming back behind the personality and becoming therefore the background presence within you, which is actually, psychospatially speaking, in your back. It's a very, very simple, very profound technique, although really not that easy to do, simply because we forget to do it. I've been practicing this for decades, and I forget probably about 4 times an hour. It's taken years to get to the point where that's the exception. But I mean, I was doing this workshop yesterday, and that was the theme of it, shoving people into their backs, basically. And people get it. They love it. They can feel it straight away, how the personality falls away. And a very intensive session before lunchtime. And at lunchtime, I said to everybody, okay, so while you're having lunch, remember, at least 4 times just to come into the back of you. And I went off, I had to do some emails and phone calls and stuff like that. And I remembered about 4 times, just about. And I came back and asked everybody, and one person had remembered to do it twice, one person had remembered to do it once, but no one else in the whole group had remembered to do it at all. It's fascinating, even though you hold the key to the kingdom of heaven within you, because that's what this is really, forget to use it, forget to turn it in the door. That's okay though, that's kind of what makes it all fun. So we're really talking about what your true identity is, because we walk around in a state of mistaken identity. We identify ourselves with the personality, with the constructed self, which is actually pure illusion. That's what falls away when we die. The background presence, this part of you that lives in your back, is your true identity. And once you settle into that as your default position, everything else falls into place. The drama of being who you are settles into a calm, enjoyable show that you're bearing witness to. Just by observing the noise of the personality in the front of you, it simmers down. And once you've got that, the next stage is to form an intention of what and who you actually want to be, like how you want your experience to feel. And once you've got the intention, next comes the magic jumping trick, which we're going to do in a second. But we also mustn't become arrogant about this, even though what we're doing is taking command of reality. We must honor the power of destiny and destiny's place in this whole process. And it could be said that the only reason you've been drawn into this session today is because destiny has decreed that you unstick yourself from whatever or whoever it is that's holding you back right now. As Rumi, the Sufi mystic, said, what you seek seeks you too. So the idea that there's a sense of wanting to unstick yourself and to be able to move into fresh pastures now means that the fresh pastures that you're wanting to move into are also drawing you. And there's something very beautiful about acknowledging this dance we have with destiny, where destiny is already all completely mapped out, yet paradoxically requires our participation, our agreement to activate it or to amplify it, to optimize it. So if you're feeling ready, hold your nerve quite steady, because this is the moment to drop into the meditation. Let's leave it at that. Take a moment just to shuffle about in your seat and get as comfortable as you possibly can. Now don't try and sit up straight. Not for me anyway, not for anyone else. I mean, when you sit up straight, who are you doing it for? You're doing it to honor yourself, not to obey anybody else. So this is all about now you honoring the majestic miracle of your own existence. Just let yourself get as comfortable as you possibly can. Imagine someone's come up behind you and they've lifted the back of your head upwards so as to push your crown towards the ceiling. And that gives your spine a lot more length. And you feel lighter already. Then let your shoulders drop. And as they drop, let them broaden. And as they broaden, just gently raise your breastbone as a subtle gesture of rising up to all that is beautiful. Let your weight sink down into your pelvis and let your sit bones spread. You also have said already, let your eyes close. Allow yourself to go fully within. Slow your breathing down and certainly stop holding your breath. And mentally scan your physical frame from the crown of your head all the way down to your feet, and anywhere that you notice that you're holding on for no good reason, anywhere that you notice the muscles are gripping for no purpose at all, just let them soften. Command the muscles to soften. So your face softens, your neck softens, your throat softens, your shoulders soften, your arms soften. Your chest softens, your sides soften, your back softens all the way down. Your belly softens, your pelvis softens, your buttocks soften, your legs soften all the way down to your feet. And this softness is not just superficial, it penetrates, permeates all the way to your bone marrow, so that your physical presence starts to feel softer. And that's the true meaning of relaxation. Now, notice that the excitement, the allure of the drama of being who you are draws you into the front of your body, where all the noise goes on. The noise of the emotions in conflict, the noise of the internal dialogue in the front of the brain, even the noise of the peristaltic motion in your intestines, the heartbeat, sound of the lungs moving. All of the noise is in the front of you. The front of you is a very busy place. Well, give yourself a break from all that noise, just for the time that we're sitting here, and allow your presence to sink backwards and backwards and backwards until you're fully leaning up against your shoulder blades, the front of your spine, your rear pelvic bones, and your sacrum. Get the sense that you're leaning back into the back of a really well-designed, comfortable chair. It's very similar to when you learn how to drive, and at the beginning you're kind of nervous, so you tend to lean forwards a little bit, as if that will give you more control of the machine. But once you get used to driving, there's a certain point at which you relax and you sit back a bit more like a racing driver. It takes a moment or two to get used to. In that relaxed position, you actually have a lot more command over the vehicle. Well, it's exactly the same with the human body. So you feel yourself all the way back inside. Now, up in the front of you, where your breastplate is, visualize your breastbone as a pair of sliding doors, which are now opening slowly to the sides, a bit like the cliff opening up in a James Bond movie. And to reveal at the very core of your chest what looks like a beautiful otherworldly flower, some gorgeous rose-like flower, which is symbolic of the gorgeous essence that is you, that beautiful aspect of you which has been covered over for being hurt and betrayed and for the rough and tough of the world, but which now it's okay and safe to open up, to allow, to breathe, to allow its beautiful radiance to emanate from you. Firstly all around you, and then to everyone, certainly all the 200 people sitting here all the way around the world. Let your beautiful essence emanate freely and reach out and touch everyone in this circle. And allow it to be so free and limitless that it can go from there outwards to everybody that everybody here knows, and so on, until it reaches on a subtle level everyone on the planet, and not just the people, but all the living creatures, so that you're allowing your beauty to influence the atmosphere of the entire planet, and who knows, maybe beyond. Simultaneously, you're allowing the same coming back at you from everybody to penetrate and permeate your heart. So your own heart is being fed and nourished by the love of everyone, just as you are nourishing everyone with the love in your heart. And you don't have to make a big deal out of it. It doesn't have to be an effort. All you have to do is relax and keep the breastplate open and just allow the flower of your heart center to be, and it will do the rest on its own. Now, as a gesture, tilt your skull back just a little bit, imagining that the inside of your skull is the inside of a cave, a sacred cave high up in the sacred mountains. And the cave has a floor in it, and the backward tilt obliges your mind, which is mostly shut up in the front there, busy engaged in a debate about life, to slide backwards until it's nestling up against the rear interior wall of the cave, the back of your skull. Now you'll notice that with your mind nestling up against the rear wall of the skull, the habitual incessant noise in the forebrain has ceased. It's all silent there now. It's a beautiful relief. Revel in the relief of this silence and simply gaze with gentle intent but no agenda into infinity, which you see quite clearly through the mouth of the cave, which is where the center of your forehead is. And you can see the clouds passing by at the mouth of the cave because you're high up in the mountains here. Just like the thoughts pass by in your mind. No need to follow any of the clouds. No need to jump on them or analyze them or see where they're going. You just let them come. You let them go. You let them come. You let them go. And all the while, you remain nestled comfortably against the rear wall of the skull, while down below, your physical presence, the strength of the mountain, as it were, is collected in the back of you. So you feel very strong, very steady, very silent, very stable, and the heart is open. You're aware of everyone around you here. You're aware of the presence that informs all of us, almost glimpsing that sense that we are actually all just one presence with many different faces. Now, I would like you to suggest to yourself that although you normally see yourself as just a human, that you are actually imbued with superhuman power. You have the power to perform unbelievable feats, physical feats. Now, the present obstacle in your life, whatever that may be, whether it's a relationship with somebody else that is just completely dysfunctional, that you really feel that you need to extricate yourself from, or any situation that's occurring in your life that feels disharmonious, unhealthy, and that you'd like to be free of. Even any mindset, any state of mind that seems to hang you up. I'd like you to see this apparent obstacle as a mountain range, a huge mountain range. At first, it's quite intimidating. How are you going to get over that? How are you going to get past this obstacle, this apparently insurmountable obstacle? Well, you're imbued with this superhuman power, and you can actually do whatever you intend to do. So I'd like you to see yourself jump right over the mountain range. You might want to run back a little bit to give yourself a bit of a run up, a hop, skip and a jump. And on the jump, see yourself springing, superhuman, right over the mountain. Now it's going to take a while, this being in flight, because it's a big mountain range. So as you're flying now, as you're in the midst of the jump, I'd like you to really feel the sensation in your body. Feel the sense of the air rushing past you. Feel the sense of the exhilaration in your solar plexus, the excitement in your chest. Almost impossible to breathe because you're moving so fast. The exhilaration is causing your facial muscles to contract with the G-force of it. And the altitude, as you get right over the top of the mountains now, is really quite dizzying. It's thrilling, utterly thrilling. You can hardly believe it's happening. But before you've had time even to assimilate the experience, you find yourself landing on the other side, lightly. Doesn't hurt your feet at all. It's really quite remarkable, you think. And now, here you are, standing on the other side of the mountain, of a mountain range. Now, the feeling that you'll have is one, I'd imagine, of great relief, a sense of triumph, a sense of exhilaration, and a sense of being validated in your faith that everything does work out, no matter how huge the obstacle appears to be. So here you are, standing on the other side of the mountain range that represented your obstacle. You've cleared the obstacle. That obstacle is no longer there. Now, your future self who's just jumped over the mountain, who's now standing on the other side, doesn't have to know how the mechanics of this are going to be worked out for you. You just know that they will be. You're now right on the other side. You've left the problem behind. The problem will now sort itself out for you. You've left it behind. And I'd like you to be in that place and feel what it feels like in your body. Feel that sense of relief. Feel that sense of triumph. Feel that sense of being vindicated, being validated in your faith. Feel the breathing. Breathe deeply. Feel that joy, that warmth, that relaxation in your solar plexus that comes from the relief of being free. Feel the lightness of spirit that comes from being free, and let it penetrate to every single cell in your body. And now, talking of cells, I'd like you to reach into your superhuman pocket and pull out your cell phone, your mobile phone, and call your old self who's still back on the other side of the mountain. Do FaceTime so you can see them. And I'd like you now, your old self, to imagine yourself looking at the screen and seeing your future self's face there, smiling at you with the most beatific, beautiful smile you can ever imagine. So relieved, so filled with a sense of triumph for having cleared the obstacle, that the smile is radiating like the sun at midday. And your future self is telling you it's all going to be all right. Trust it. Trust the process. The jump has been made. The obstacle has already been cleared. And then I'd like you to acknowledge this reassurance from your future self and take courage from it and let go of any fretting, the essence of worry. Let it go now. Just for a moment or two, be willing to trust this process is already working. And visualize everyone on the planet at this point in time being somehow in a similar state. Share your good fortune with everybody. It's a wish for everyone on the planet right now to clear the obstacles that are before them, that somehow everyone can return to a greater state of harmony. Visualize the whole of humanity making a very easy, gentle, quantum jump into a new level of freedom and authenticity, from which comes greater wisdom, greater love, greater tolerance, and greater chances that we can communicate in an intelligent way and collaborate to somehow negotiate our way through this rather tricky and challenging passage that we collectively find ourselves in. And I'm sure we will. Now, in your own time, this is the time to start wriggling your fingers and wriggling your toes, wriggling your ears and wriggling your nose, and twitching your eyelids and then opening your eyes, and then coming back into the so-called everyday state. But as you do, come back in the back of you. No need to jump into the front of you unless you really find it more enjoyable. So stay centered, stay calm, and this is the moment where I'll hand over to our esteemed producer, Sue, up there on the Cumbrian coast in the north of England, to conduct the beginning of the question and answer session. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi everybody. Okay, so this first one, Stephen, is from Jennifer in Australia, who is asking, what does it mean when no matter how hard I try, I can't seem to clear some repeating relationship patterns?
Well, Jenny of Australia, what it means is that those patterns are occurring within you, somehow addictive somehow compulsive, and there's a need to be able to step back into the back of you and bear witness to yourself compulsively going into the pattern. And you only need to catch it 2 or 3 times, I've found, before it starts to dislodge that compulsive hold. So it really is the very simple act of dropping right into the back of you, which is not something we're familiar with, so it's a bit of a strange one. You drop into the back of you, and immediately you do that, you see that the front of you is where all this stuff, this drama, is going on. And the drama of these compulsive patterns is going on in the front. And by being behind that and observing the personality, the ego, if you like, wanting to re-enter into the same pattern again and again, just by seeing it happening, it differentiates you from the pattern. And that cuts the compulsive strength of the pattern. And just in doing that, 2, 3, 4 times or so, it starts to diminish in power, the pattern, I mean. And this combined with holding a clear intention or a visualization of you when you're free of that pattern. What does that look like? What does Jenny look like when she's not in thrall to this pattern? How does she look? What does she feel like? Because that's the state you're intending to manifest. And holding that clearly in mind, even as just a fleeting visualization performed frequently throughout the day, give yourself, I don't know, there's no way of quantifying time. The Taoists usually say 90 days to shift something. And you'll find that you will be in a different place. But I'd be very happy to hear from you when you've put that into effect, to tell me how that's actually going. Next question.
This next one is from Kate. When taking a break from a troubled, emotionally abusive relationship, what healing needs to take place within me to see clearly and decide whether to resume it?
Kate, yeah, I think that probably the thing would be to observe where the emotional pain has lodged as a physical holding pattern in the body. So, for example, if the abuse that you've been receiving, when you think of it, the kind of the story, you get sensitive and feel where it hurts in your body, because it will hurt somewhere, or you'll feel discomfort somewhere in the body, maybe on the right where the liver is, or on the left where the spleen is, or right in the middle in the solar plexus, or wherever it is. If you can then focus your attention on releasing the pain in a physical sense by commanding it to dissolve and breathing into it until it feels calmer. You can use light or colors to help you. So, for example, you can use an aquamarine, a very vivid aquamarine, to dispel stuck negative energy. You can use emerald green to heal the area. You can use gold as a sort of like deluxe medicine to make it mend faster. And you can use violet to produce a sort of quantum leap or miracle. For example, I would say that would probably be best, but then also to, rather than think it's you who decides whether you go back or not, to keep coming into the back of you and talking to your destiny as if it was an entity, like an angel, and just say to your destiny, whatever is for the best for everybody here, I'm willing to go with it. You decide what's going to happen, because destiny really already has decided. So really, yeah, this is about you releasing the blockages in your body. That in turn will release the emotional pain that's informing them, and that would be the most efficient way to heal yourself in the break you've got. Next question.
This next one is from Cindy in the US. How best to deal with an extremely malignant psychotic family member?
What do you say her name was? Sorry.
Cindy.
Oh, Cindy in the US. Hello. How to deal with an extremely psychotic family member? Oof. It's really difficult. Cindy, I do a session, a regular session whenever I'm in London at a mental health centre with people who have been diagnosed as so-called dangerous psychotics, and it is really, really difficult. There's no generalised rule. I can't tell you because I don't know the people involved. I don't know how it feels. I don't know what the dynamic is. But what I've found is that little games, Tai Chi-like games, are really good. Now, one that I've used with great effect is where you get the person. I don't know if this would be appropriate, so I'm just telling you what I've been doing. And they're not my family members, of course, so it's very different. There's a lot of emotion for you involved, whereas for me it's just a desire to heal. You get the person to put their palm on the back of your hand and then close their eyes, so they've got to trust you. And then you lead them, and they put their hand on with only 4 ounces, not a lot of pressure. And you lead them on a dance. They step, you move around the room, you make your hand go up, you make your hand go down, you make it go round and round, you do little circles, big circles, fast circles, slow circles, and you let them follow you. And as they're following you, you tell them a story. So the one guy I'm thinking of, this guy Richard, I was saying to him, this is a guy who never spoke to anybody. He never even would look at them in the face. He'd just make a funny sound like, ee. That was kind of as good as you'd get. And I say to him, hey Richard, what we're going to do now is we're going to take you on a journey through the kingdom, because Richard, you are King Richard. And I took him through the mountain pastures, and all the country people took their hats off to King Richard and hail King Richard. And now I'm taking you through the rich part of town, and all the rich burghers of the town are taking their hats off and bowing and hail King Richard. And they love you, King Richard, all the people, they love you. And you're feeling really good about this. You're feeling like you've been reborn. You've taken command of your natural kingship again, King Richard, and I'm taking you back to the palace, and I'm going to sit you back in the throne. And at that point, I kind of slowed the movement down, and I kind of urged them backwards a bit and kind of ground them, like an intention to kind of get a sense of them settling. And now you're in your throne, King Richard, and your world has been transformed. How does that feel? Open your eyes. And he opened his eyes and started talking to me. He never talked to anybody, this guy. And he said, it feels really good. I feel really good. And I don't know if that's appropriate. I haven't got a clue. It's so hard to answer specifically, but it's that kind of game that breaks the pattern, the usual pattern of communication. If it were at all appropriate, you could try that. Another way would be a gentle shoulder massage, something that's not intrusive. I don't know, again, if that would be appropriate or not. But it's the physical contact, a loving, healing physical contact that's not intrusive, that tends to have a more benign effect than trying to get into conversation or so. It will cut through loads of conversation and move the trust levels forward, which is really the key to it all. I hope that's of some help. Next question.
Just before we do the next question, we've got a few comments in that I thought you'd like to hear, Stephen.
Yes.
This first one is from Afka, who I think's in Belgium, and she's sending love and saying many miracles are happening, even changing house. Wonderful. Thank you for our connection.
Oh, you're welcome, Afka. It's lovely to hear from you, and I am glad that the miracles are happening. May they abound.
Maureen in the US says so beautiful. Thank you.
So are you, Maureen of the US. Bless you for saying.
And this is Sarah in Houston, Texas, saying thank you so much, Stephen. Just very relieved. I am crying. Everything is covered in the call.
Oh, beautiful, Sarah in Houston. And again, blow a kiss to Houston from me. I've been talking about it with Jeff lately. Houston, great city that it is. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
And this last comment from Malkit. Oh, Afka's saying she's in Holland, not Belgium. My mistake.
Holland.
Apologies.
Happy Holland.
Malkit says, hi Stephen, very hypnotic meditation. Thank you and lovely to be here.
It was lovely to have you there. Thanks for being there, Malkit.
So we're on to a question now from Karen, who is in the UK. Should you stop seeing a family member if they've always tortured you emotionally?
Well, Karen, we don't live in a world of shoulds, do we? So there's not really a should about it. You could, definitely. I mean, you are free to. And obviously, I don't know the setup. I don't know how close you are or what your obligations are or so on. But I personally am of the persuasion that we don't have any obligation to hang around people who are abusive to us. You know, I mean, you make your peace with them as best you can, and you're free to do whatever you choose. You're free to extricate yourself. It happens in lots of families. You're certainly entitled to take your space. No obligation to sit there and take the abuse by any means. And maybe leaving space will be what is required to heal the dynamic. Who knows? But I do think it's really about looking at what they're mirroring at you. So however they're abusing you, as painful as it might be to concede this, that it's mirroring you abusing yourself internally like that as well. So if you could mentally thank them for showing you what you're doing to yourself, even though you can't see you were doing it, that's the whole point, because it's unconscious, and then you look at that and you just intend to heal that part of you, to cut into that pattern and let it go as best you can. You thank them for bringing you that healing, and then you in your mind, you just say, bless you, bless you, bless you, thank you for bringing me this healing. Now go in peace. You're free to go in peace. Go. And you see them turn around and walk away from you with dignity and in peace. And it will generally resolve that way. Something will occur that will enable this sort of separation to happen without it being ridiculously traumatic for you. So it doesn't have to be a big drama. Of course you're free to walk away. Of course you are if you want to. There's no crime in that. There's nothing violent in it, is it? It's just you're doing it peacefully, walking away, giving them their space. You do it honourably and respectfully, and you somehow negotiate from your background presence to theirs that this is what's going to happen. And then it will probably work out swimmingly for you, much better than you imagined.
All right, this next one is from Penny, and the internet country code is saying LU, which I am guessing is Luxembourg, but I could be wrong. Okay, so Penny in Luxembourg is asking how to disentangle from a relationship with someone who is absent, won't let go, and uses emotional blackmail and illness.
Well, Penny in Luxembourg, it's a good question. You would firstly look at how you are somehow manipulating yourself to remain obedient to or loyal to an aspect of you which is no longer who you really are. So there's probably some sort of behavioral pattern or complex of patterns that comprise a certain aspect of you, your former self, that you're clinging to and are afraid to let go of in case they die, basically. But they probably need to be let go of internally. You might not even understand it, you might not get it intellectually, but there'll be a sense of something you're holding on to inside that needs to be let go of. So even if you don't get it, you would mentally thank this person you're in the relationship with for showing you how you're clinging to some part of you that you need to let go of. You thank them for showing you that. Then you would, in your mind, and you have to do it really from your soul, this has to be done from the background presence of you to the background presence of them. You say to them, thank you for everything you brought me. You are now free to go. Bless you, bless you, bless you. Now go in peace, go in peace, go in peace. And you see them turn around and walk away from you. Now you might have to do this a few times until it really lodges in your psyche. And it can't just be done intellectually. It has to be done from the back of your body. It has to be done with the whole of you. And it has to be done with true intent. And if it's really done with true intent and with compassion rather than hatred or fear, the person will, somehow or other, events will conspire to cause an actual separation. Goodness knows how. We don't have to know how. But it will happen. I've never known this thing not to work. And secondly, as we've just done, you see this situation as an obstacle. You see it as a mountain range that seems impassable. You're superhuman and you see yourself jump right over it and land on the other side and stand there thinking, wow, I'm free. I've done it. I'm free. Wow. Phew. And see that happen. See it again and again and again and again, like frequently, only fleetingly, but frequently. And that's what will be. You will actually manifest the shift that you need. Your soul will only let you take so much pain, and then it will move you out of the situation. And I'm sure it's probably time for it to do that now. Should we go for the last question?
Well, funny you should say that, because we just have one question left. So my apologies to everyone for not being able to play the music today. I had a bit of an unscheduled extra few days away from home, so I don't have the leads with me. So apologies from me. And this last question is from Elizabeth in Austria. I feel responsible for people to an extent where I feel like a caregiver and not a lover. How can I change that?
Hello, Elizabeth of Austria. Lovely that you're here. Look, you know that we're actually responsible only for ourselves, or our actual dependents. So if we have children, we're responsible for them. If we have elderly parents who depend on us, we're responsible for them, or anybody who we're actually really looking after. But when it comes to a lover, which is, I presume, what you're talking about, we're not responsible for them, are we? We would put ourselves in the caring position, possibly because we feel that we need to be needed like that, that if we didn't give that service, they wouldn't want us. There wouldn't be enough of a hook for them to want us. So it might be that you could look at how you are lovable and loved just for being you. You don't have to do anything to be loved. That might be the affirmation that would cut through, and it's one I would recommend to everybody anyway. I don't have to do a single thing to be loved. All I have to do is be me. All I have to do is be me to be loved. I am loved just for being me. I don't have to do anything to be loved. I am loved just by being me. And you repeat that to yourself enough times for it to actually penetrate and feel like you mean it to yourself. And then maybe experiment with allowing other people to take care of you instead, and see what happens. But I think you'll find that just by doing that, it will shift the dynamic between you and whomever you're talking about here, and shift it from being a caring thing into being a more erotic or exciting or passionate thing, however you want it to be. And that's the other thing, to see yourself as somebody enjoying the kind of situation you want to be enjoying. So if it's you see yourself as somebody who's all fired up from some kind of erotic encounter, be that person. See yourself as that person, and that's what you'll manifest. It takes a bit of time, all this stuff. It doesn't necessarily happen instantly. It takes a little bit of training of the subconscious, but it will happen. It will happen if you intend it to do so, as will everything that everybody wants for everyone who's been here this evening. And I really thank you deeply, deeply from the bottom of my heart for giving me the privilege of facilitating this. It's been utterly beautiful doing this with you. I hope you felt some of the glorious exotic vibes of Nice coming through, and I certainly hope you felt my love coming to you. And may the Tao fill our magic processes with some extra quantum shunt of magnificent benign power, and let miracles happen for everybody who's here. And everybody, really. And that's it. Come next week. It's going to be beautiful. Thank you, and bye-bye.